Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back once again to another episode of Top 5 Poses. This time it's obviously different than the usual with us looking at Revenge of the Sith Anakin. Still an SH Figuarts figure, but Star Wars opposed to Dragon Ball. Last time we did a Top 5 Poses video for a character outside the Dragon Ball universe. It was Spider-Man, and you can check that video out here. It's also the figure that came with the pizza slice I used for Beerus, in case you were wondering. I know a lot of you asked that question. For those newcomers to the channel, or just this series, these poses are singular, meaning they're meant to involve just the figure itself. Reason being, I wanted anyone who owns the figure to be able to do them. Now this figure is representing one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars franchise, as well as my favorite version of the character. As such, I had great expectations for this figure finally being made in Figuarts form. While it does fall short in a couple of ways, it still is a great figure that looks awesome when you get it into some emotive poses. I do wish the faces were a bit better, but I digress. Let's get into it. Hey guys, if you're brand new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and definitely ring a ding ding that bell notification button. It helps the channel grow and it helps me bring you guys a lot more. So Anakin, the poster boy for the Clone Wars, and the chosen one meant to bring balance to the Force. These characters are interesting because they don't fly, they don't launch ki blasts like Dragon Ball characters, yet they still have abilities in their own right. This is a figure that takes some ingenuity to get into some more classic poses because of the overhead articulation. Anakin is a Form 5 user, which is known for overhead strikes, which means you're going to run into some difficulties trying to create some classic battle poses for him. It's almost like they saw Darth Vader coming and wanted to get some practicing for Anakin's eventual fully corrupt self. And what's with that yelling face? Seriously, this reminds me of like James McAvoy yelling at Teenage Mutant students rather than Hayden Christensen. Let's get into number 5. Alright, at number 5, we're starting to reintroduce the lightsaber back into the poses here. And I really wish I could place this pose higher on the list because it had potential to be badass, but you know why else it sadly can't climb higher? This figure lacks the ability to actually chest fly or adduct the arms. You literally cannot converge Anakin's arms together in front of his body. You can at the back though for some reason, but it means no downward two-handed slashes in addition to proper gemso stance. However, the stance you can achieve is still relatively iconic to the character, and that's why it's on the list, albeit at the bottom. It takes some finagling, but once you manage to position the shoulders and forearms just right, it's not half bad. And a good opportunity for an updated release though, I will say. So coming in at number 4 is a pose not specific to Anakin, but I kind of like. And this is a mid-action pose of Anakin force pulling his lightsaber from his belt to his hand. It can work with any of the faces he comes with, and it all depends on the look you want to go for. I think it works well because of the level of foreshadowing it presents. It's not flashy, yet it's not overly simple and extremely boring either. So at number 3 is one ripped right out of Revenge of the Sith itself, and it pays homage to Anakin's future days as Darth Vader, and that is the Force Choke. Now of course this pose looks best when you've got the Sith eyes on him, but it's somewhat out of character otherwise. I also think this pose looks best from the side profile more than the dead on in front, as you can mess around with the angles of the neck and arms that much more. If you wanted a pose that didn't use a brandished lightsaber but still brought some intensity, this would be the pose to use. I'd imagine you could probably try the yelling face here too, but I think that'd be more comical than intense. Unless of course you were going for comically intense, this would be the pose for you. You could also opt to use the lightsaber, but I didn't here just to switch it up from the rest of the poses coming up on this list. Okay, so at number 2, I have the group of poses known as aerials. If you've watched the top 5 poses for Super Saiyan 3 Goku, you'll be familiar with this category. Anyways, I think this is a highly underrated style of posing for this figure. But remember, Anakin's had some crazy adventures in the Clone Wars, so chances are he's looked and moved just like this quite a few times on the battlefield. And this is a figure art after all, which means it works well with the stance from Tamashi, just like Dragon Ball figures themselves. Poses such as this one are definitely eye-catching. You don't really see them being used that often, save for the likes of maybe Darth Maul. But it allows you to showcase the articulation of the figure in ways you normally wouldn't, because they wouldn't be reflective of the character. With this style of pose, the possibilities are far greater than what you could showcase with them on the ground too. Anything from backflips to crazy side slashes. Again, I wish the figure had more overhead motion for crazy downward looking slashes, but it is what it is. Alright guys, so at number 1, at first glance this pose looks toned down compared to the Ariels, but I love it. It just says so much more about the character. A dash of stoicism with some dark emotions brooding underneath, and at the same time some commanding valor and passionate readiness to leap into battle in a heartbeat. The glove held in a fist foreshadows darker things to come, while the brandished lightsaber is reminiscent of Anakin's route in his Jedi training. This pose is Anakin. Again, as far as the articulation is concerned, it pulls from different facets of his personality, and as simple as it is, it's badass. Also, I'm not sure why, but it seems slightly anime-ish. I don't know why, but it works. Alright guys, so there you have it. My top 5 poses for SH Figuarts Revenge of the Sith Anakin Skywalker. I love this character to death, and I love the figure almost as much. I really think this figure does bring it in terms of posability, though I wish the overhead capabilities were there some more. I think the majority of you did say you're Star Wars fans on the poll the other day, so I'm curious to see who are your favorite characters and why below. And also, are you light side or dark? Anyways guys, let me know what you think below, and until the next time, you know what I always say. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Peace.